Well, here's how we begin today, and throughout this whole program, we're going to stay in Asia. Let's start you off, though, in Afghanistan, because on Thursday, only part of the 17 million people eligible to cast their ballots actually showed up at polling stations as Taliban threats kept voter turnout low in the capital, Kabul, and also down in the militant south. After 8 years of Hamid Karzai's presidency, the country is back at major crossroads again. Some say their life has changed little since the last election, and many hope that the new government will make that change.
Ballots versus bullets. Taliban threats kept voter turnout low on Thursday as Afghans went to the polls to choose the next president of their deeply troubled country. Militants launched scattered rocket and bomb attacks, forcing some polling stations to close. Many voted eagerly, but some also held back and waited to hear if the Taliban would make good on its threats of violence. Fear of violence may have dampened voting on Thursday, but it did not discourage the incumbent president.
It's the second presidential and parliamentary elections in Afghanistan, and I'm sure that inshallah this will be for peace, for progress, and for the well-being of the Afghan people. And I request Afghan people to come out and vote.
After decades of conflict, Afghanistan is one of the poorest countries in the region. Life expectancy is 44 years, and more than half of the population lives under the poverty line. But a fledgling democracy, which started after the fall of the Taliban in 2001, has created a nouveau riche class of people with big houses and cars, leaving much of Afghanistan literally in the dust. In the poorer neighborhoods of Kabul and in the rural areas, people say they voted for the candidate who's likely to help them the most.
The money donated to Afghanistan went to the pockets of powerful people in the government. We have not benefited from the money, and nothing has been done for us.
The disappointment has led more people to turn to the Taliban in the south, and that has led to a spike in attacks. They've reached the worst level since the Taliban were toppled in 2001. But now they've toned down their views somewhat and are making a comeback. Mullah Abdul Salam Raketi, a former Taliban commander, is one of the 34 candidates running for president. Raketi, who gave up his Taliban life and became a member of parliament, has made the need for stability his main campaign platform. He doesn't talk much about his past. His campaigning is modest, and he doesn't go into the streets and aggressively reach out to voters. But his views still attract a following.
The reason that people are disappointed is clear. It's because of corruption in the administration. It's because of the bribery system and many other problems. If we find a solution for all these problems, I'm sure all people will join the government and stop violence.
But that's not the only problem the new government has. In Kabul, election fever has engulfed the city, with presidential candidates making their presence felt in the streets. But to the north, the news of the elections has not filtered through some areas. One such place is Badakhshan, a province located in the remote craggy mountain areas. An ancient form of transport must be used to distribute the voting materials. It was only a few days ago, when the first load of materials arrived, that people realized that an election was going on in their country.
I don't know what the election is about. I'm not aware of it.
Further north, in the village of Sarab, fewer know about the election, let alone care. Open the door to almost every house, and a thick opium smoke rushes out. It's just past 8 in the morning, and the family is already curled up around a burning opium pipe. Here, the government has little say, and in most cases, it's the terrorists who would fill the vacuum.
Although Karzai has ruled for 8 years, people outside Kabul still feel disconnected with the government. This is due to two reasons. On the one hand, the government has failed to provide assistance for development. And on the other hand, the drug trade has formed a strong bond between terrorists and local residents. How to build a wide legitimacy is another challenge the new government would face.
And to the south, there's the last but not the least question: the American troops.
As long as we have terrorist groups here or foreign troops here, we will not have security in this country. The new Afghanistan government should send foreign troops back to their homes and become independent.
For the U.S., which has already committed more troops on the ground, the stakes couldn't be higher. Every morning, Corporal Justin Thompson crawls out of his rat hole, dug deep into a wind-beaten barren hilltop. Thompson has lived here for 3 months and quite possibly will live here for many more to come. For the 24-year-old, this is his first Afghanistan deployment. He spent 7 months near Haditha in Iraq in 2006 and another 7 months in Fallujah in 2008.
Thinking about home, you're thinking about your girl, you're thinking about people that got hurt, you're thinking about just dumb stuff. You start thinking about what's for chow, and then when chow comes, you're like, I can't believe I'm eating this again for the 100th time. It's the boredom. Boredom's complacency's the real killer out here. It's just, there's only so much you can do.
At home, Thompson's girlfriend has finished college to become a teacher. She wants him to come back and settle down. And Corporal Justin Thompson's case is just one in many. More than 30,000 extra U.S. troops have arrived in Afghanistan this year, raising the total number of Western troops above 100,000 for the first time. President Barack Obama has already called the election the most important event in Afghanistan this year. But in some sense, the U.S. strategy for Afghanistan is still a work in progress, without a well-defined goal. In Washington, just how progress is measured is still an open question.
Some have argued that you don't need a full-blown nation-building effort. You don't need a civilian surge and tens of thousands of more American troops in Afghanistan to achieve stability and to meet the president's goals. Others are saying, no, you actually need that full complement.
The ultimate task for the new government and for the governments to come is to end foreign occupation. For that, consensus has to be reached between the U.S. and Afghan governments. While the U.S. has had too much at stake in Afghanistan, this task is clearly not an easy one for the new government.
Most polls before the election suggest President Hamid Karzai will win a second 5-year term. But observers say that even if he does, Afghanistan is bound to undergo a period of change. Whoever the winner is, he has to at least understand one thing about Afghanistan: the existing institutions are not working.
Now, whatever the results, the very fact that the Afghans braved extensive Taliban intimidation and some of them traveled great distances just to vote signals hope for a better future. For them, the elections represent a crucial opportunity to a sense of at least some control over their own futures.